The air was still heavy with the lingering energy of the labyrinth as Amadioha stepped out into the sunlit hall. His body was worn, but his spirit felt more determined than ever. He had faced his own demons, the illusions of his past, and come out stronger for it. Yet there was something unsettling about the silence that followed his victory. Anianwu, who had been present throughout his previous trials, was nowhere to be seen. For a moment, Amadioha stood alone, his thoughts drifting between pride and confusion. Where was Anianwu? Before he could ponder further, the ground beneath him trembled slightly. It was a gentle, rolling movement, almost like a heartbeat pulsing through the earth. Amadioha's eyes widened as the floor of the citadel began to shift, sprouting vines and roots that twisted and grew before his very eyes. The once sterile chamber of light transformed into a vibrant landscape, the air filling with the fresh scent of earth and blooming flowers. Amadioha instinctively took a step back, his hand twitching as if to summon the storm. But something about this presence was calming. And then she appeared. From the very heart of the earth, Allah, the goddess of the earth and morality, rose with an elegance that could only belong to a deity. Her skin, rich and dark like the soil itself, seemed to glow with an inner warmth. Her hair flowed like cascading vines, adorned with flowers of every color, and her eyes sparkled with a wisdom that spanned ages. The earth responded to her presence. Grass grew where she stepped, trees sprouted and swayed in the invisible wind, and animals appeared briefly before melting back into the landscape. Amadioha stood frozen, unsure whether to bow or speak first. Amadioha. Allah's voice was soft, yet filled with authority. The god of thunder who nearly destroyed a village with a single tantrum. Amadioha blinked, caught off guard by her casual tone and the faint teasing in her voice. Tantrum. It wasn't, he began, but Allah raised a single finger, silencing him with a smile. Oh, don't worry. We all have our moments. Even the earth sometimes shakes when I'm having a bad day. Her eyes gleamed with humor, but beneath it was something deeper. Though I must say, your storms tend to leave a bit more devastation. Amadioha frowned, but a faint chuckle escaped him despite his best efforts. I'm learning, he replied, though his voice held a hint of defensiveness. Learning is good, Allah said, stepping forward, and with each step, the grass grew taller, richer. But learning must come with balance. That's why I'm here. She gestured to the lush world that had bloomed around them. The earth doesn't thrive through destruction alone. It requires care, nurturing, and restraint. Thunder may bring rain, but too much, and it floods. Too little, and the land withers. Amadioha crossed his arms, trying to mask his curiosity. So, you're here to teach me to water plants. Allah's laugh was like the rustling of leaves, soft but full of life. In a way, yes, but more importantly, I'm here to show you that power without balance is just chaos. Suddenly, the vibrant landscape shifted again. A part of the field near them began to dry and crack, the flowers wilting as the once lush greenery turned brown. It was a vivid representation of what could happen without care. Come, Allah said, motioning him to follow her deeper into the field. Your next trial is not about strength or endurance, it's about control. Amadioha followed, intrigued, but still on guard. The earth goddess seemed peaceful, but he knew better than to assume her trial would be easy. They stopped in a meadow filled with towering trees, their branches heavy with fruit. The air was thick with life, buzzing with energy. Summon your storm, Allah said, her voice gentle but firm. But only enough to water this land. Too much, and you'll destroy it. Too little, and the trees will wither. Amadioha furrowed his brow. This was different from anything Anianwu had asked of him. The sun god's trials had been about endurance, about survival. But this was about balance. How much rain are we talking here? Amadioha asked, raising an eyebrow. like a light drizzle or... Allah smiled, but there was a glint of warning in her eyes. That, my dear Amadioha, is for you to decide. The earth will respond to your command. Amadioha hesitated for a moment, but then raised his hand to the sky. The familiar crackle of thunder rumbled deep within him, and dark clouds began to form overhead. He felt the storm stir, its power growing as the wind picked up, but he could also feel the delicate balance of the earth beneath him, the way it pulsed with life. Just enough, he muttered to himself, trying to focus. Just enough. The first droplets of rain began to fall, soft and gentle. The trees swayed with the breeze, their leaves drinking in the moisture. For a moment, Amadioha allowed himself a small smile. This isn't so bad. But then, something shifted. The storm surged, the clouds darkening as lightning crackled across the sky. The gentle rain quickly turned into a downpour, and before he could pull it back, the wind howled, tearing through the meadow. The trees groaned as the force of the storm battered them, their branches snapping under the pressure. Whoa! Amadioha threw his hands up, trying to rein the storm back, but it was too late. The earth beneath them began to flood, the once lush meadow now drowning in a torrent of rain and wind. Trees toppled over, their roots torn from the soil, and the vibrant flowers were crushed under the weight of the storm. Amadioha cursed under his breath, his heart pounding. He had lost control. Again. Allah watched, her face unreadable. When the storm finally subsided, leaving behind a drenched, ruined landscape, she stepped forward, her voice soft but firm. "Do you see now?" she asked, her gaze piercing. "Your power is great, Amadioha, but without balance, it will only bring destruction." Amadioha clenched his fists, frustration boiling inside him. "I was trying. It's not easy to control something like that." Allah nodded, her tone gentle. "I know it's not easy, but being a god is not about ease. It's about responsibility. Power alone isn't enough. You must learn to wield it with care. Otherwise, the very thing you wish to protect will be the first to fall." Amadioha's shoulders slumped, the weight of her words settling over him. He had always seen his power as something to conquer, to control. But now, as he looked at the devastation he had caused, he realized that his strength alone wasn't enough. He needed something more. He needed restraint. Allah placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and comforting. "You're not the first to struggle with this," she said softly. "Even the greatest gods have had to learn that balance is the key to true mastery. You have the potential, Amadioha, but you must learn that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use it." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The earth around them slowly began to heal, the flowers pushing through the soil once more, though the damage to the trees remained. "Again," Allah said, stepping back. "This time, think of the life beneath you. Think of the balance." Amadioha took a deep breath, his heart steady. He raised his hand once more, summoning the storm, but this time with more focus, more care. The rain fell gently, nourishing the earth without drowning it. Allah smiled, watching as the storm settled into harmony with the world around it. Much better. Outside the field, hidden in the golden light of the citadel, Wu watched quietly. He had seen many gods falter at this stage, unable to grasp the delicate balance between power and control. But Amadioha, he was different. His failures did not break him, and his successes, though few, were hard-earned. Wu's suspicions about Chukwu's favor lingered in his mind, but he kept them to himself. There was still much for Amadioha to learn, but for now, he was on the right path.